All right. Well, we just want to welcome everybody and thank you for being a part of the Phys Ed Summit, sponsored by ESPE Chat. So we want to thank you for taking the time and the moments to be here with us on this live hangout that we are doing. And I also want to say that this is designed for elementary physical education teachers. So let's keep that in mind when the topics are going on. If you have not logged in and looked at Tozzle, make sure that's where you go. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, that is where we will be hitting up the topics that you have to discuss. So once again, welcome everybody. I've got a few other things. We want to thank the Phys Ed team for being the leader in the Phys Ed Summit world and kind of getting it spearheaded with this and helping out getting this whole thing going for the ESPE chat. We're got a lot of technology going on with the Tozzle and the Google Hangout. So if we do have any hiccups or bugs, like there tends to be, just ask that you be patient with us, and we'll do the best that we can. This is my first time moderating, so hopefully I won't mess it up too much for you guys. And today we have Judy Schmid, and she's going to be taking us through an awesome presentation. I'm very excited for it. She said if you do have any questions, if you want to post it in the Tozzle area as the conversation is going on, especially as it's happening, she said she's fine if we have to interrupt her to ask those questions. And so without further ado, I am going to turn it over to her.
Okay, thanks, Ben. I appreciate the introduction. And I'd also like to thank the Physigogy team and the people at the SB Chat for getting this summit going for us tonight. What I'm going to do is do a screen share so we can get started. So we're going to do a full screen here, and then let's see what I've got here. Can everybody see that first slide? Ben, I don't hear anything.
No, I can't. I do not see. I see only you.
Okay, so let's see if I can get this. We want to do a screen share.
Hit your green.
Okay, and full screen. Start screen share. Okay. And there's the first slide.
There, yep, we got you now.
Good, because this is my first time doing this as well, so we're all in this together. All right, so today we're going to take physical literacy and move it into the classroom, and I'm going to talk about putting meaningful, quality physical activity content into the general education classroom. And who better to do that than qualified physical educators? And that means you need to provide those resources. I'm going to give you a little background, and in an article which has this huge title, it's called Perceptions of School-Based Self-Management Program Promoting an Active Lifestyle Among Elementary School Children, Teachers, and Parents. It was in the 2009 Journal of Teaching Physical Education, and it stated that schools provide an ideal setting for the promotion of lifelong physical activity because most children can be reached especially at the elementary level. And then in 2010, in the School-Wide Physical Activity Guide, Comprehensive Guide to Designing and Conducting Programs, which was published by Human Kinetics, Rink, Hall, and Williams stated it is also a time for formulating habits that will likely remain with them as adults. Educators must assume the responsibility for the development of these basic skills. So even back then, they were talking about moving activity into the classroom. And just this morning, I read an article from Sarah Buck at Chicago State University, and it was in HealthZet, and it mentioned that the National Institute of Health considers it essential that any educational reform geared toward improving academic excellence ought to include physical fitness in the equation. So let's first define physical literacy. Now, I went and looked up the definition for literacy, and it's the competence or knowledge in a specified area. And then the definition for physical, and it's of relating to the body as opposed to the mind, or relating to things perceived through the senses as opposed to the mind. Now, it's interesting that there's a disconnect between the body and the mind. Yet we as physical educators know that that connection is very vital. So we're going to look at how actually physical literacy is defined by two different organizations. First, we're going to start with Shape America and its guidance document called The Essential Components of Physical Education. And in that document, the goal is stated that it is our goal of physical education to develop physically literate individuals who have the knowledge, skills, and confidence to enjoy a lifetime of healthful physical activity. Well, we know that in Standard 1, we're learning skills, and Standard 2, it's the involvement of all different types of physical activities. Standard 3, we participate in physical activity. Standard 4 is our fitness end of things, and Standard 5 is how we find physical activity contributing to a healthy lifestyle. Now, if we look at Canada's statement, it's a little bit more concise, and it says individuals who are physically literate move with competence and confidence in a wide variety of physical activities in multiple environments that benefit the healthy development of the whole person. The interesting thing is that both statements want us to be developing confidence and competence in movement. They want us to develop healthy lifestyles and develop an understanding of the benefits of movement. So why should we be worried about this? Why should we be thinking that physical literacy is important? Well, if we look at these three statements, that our skills have to be emerging in every standard by 6th grade, and those skills then must be mastered by 8th grade, and then following that, high school, those skills have to be applied. You know, we start looking and say, where did this information come from? And Shape America has provided us with the scope and sequence K through 12. Now, these can be used as milestones, and we as physical educators are supposed to be meeting all these milestones, and we might not have time to practice all these skills to meet those. That's why we need to enlist the assistance of the general educator for additional meaningful practice of these skills. To further explain physical literacy, I went to the Aspen Institute's Project Play, and they have a graph there that is kind of eye-opening for developing physical literacy and the intervention points. As we look at this graph, we notice that the time frame for the intervention of fundamental skills is very, very limited. If we look carefully, usually before the students even get to us at the elementary school, they need to be introduced to most of these fundamental skills, but the intervention points or the mastery points all occur before a child leaves elementary school. And are we doing that in physical education? And if not, then we need to enlist that help of the general educator, in that meaningful practice of those skills. So we're kind of moving our phys ed program into the classroom. Further now, we're going to find out again the why of physical literacy, and I found this graphic on fix.com, and it goes over what happens in your brain, and we get some backing from the neuroscience community with connections to the brain and exercise. Now, this first section of the graphic explains what happens to your brain when you exercise, and we see improved mental performance, prevention and treatment of the aging of the brain, the storage of sensory memories, and that's where the learning takes place, especially with those younger children. The productions of endorphins, of course, those make us feel good, and better health and reduced brain-related disease. And then, of course, it produces BDNF. Now, this has become quite a buzzword recently. John Ratey's book, Spark, The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise in the Brain. And in that book, he states that BDNF is the miracle grow of the brain and that it's produced in the skeletal muscles. So let's think about that. What does exercise do? It moves those skeletal muscles. So we're actually producing the BDNF that is needed to help the brain grow. In the next section of the graphic, we get the backing from the neuroscience community and how science is backing up what exercise can do for our bodies. And at the final part of this graphic, it says making time for physical education. You know, it's important that we have good physical education, and we can help get these side effects and educate our teachers as to what they are, and which teacher would not want these side effects of a higher IQ, better test scores, increased concentration and attention, and reduced ADHD symptoms. If I were a classroom teacher, I'd be figuring out how to move those kids more often just to get those side effects. Now, another thing that I found out, and
Hey, Judy, may I interrupt you for just a quick moment?
Sure.
Okay, on that previous slide, you said you got that at fix.com.
Yes.
If somebody wants those graphics, what would they need to do a search for? Just brain and exercise?
Actually, the link is right there at the bottom of the page. Let me move my cursor out of the way. And they can put that right into their browser window, and it'll come right to that graphic.
Okay.
I found Fix.com had quite a bit to offer, exercise routines, yoga routines as well. And it was just quite interesting that I was able to find this. And I think I actually saw it posted by someone on Twitter, and that's what took me there.
Very cool. I've never heard of that. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Thanks for that resource.
They have all kinds of stuff there. You can even learn how to fix your bathroom. All right, so the next slide is John Medina, and he also is one of those neurologists that is showing how the brain and the body and the muscles and exercise are all connected. This is a video that if Ben can play it or you can play it, I'd like everybody to take that minute and 27 seconds to look that over. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on my screen, but I'll try to pull it up. Let's see if it'll work. There it is there. I don't know if you can hear it.
No, there is no sound that comes through on the videos.
Okay. Well, what he says, let's go back to here. Take the time, and it's a website put out by Brain Rules, which is by John Medina, and he goes through a variety of different things, and this is his video on exercise, and he also talks about how movement is so important. At the last 30 seconds of this video is a list of things that exercise helps with, everything from the less percentage of strokes, the BDNF part of it, heart disease. It just is like exercise is a fix for everything. And he talks about it on 2 parts, and that the more you exercise, the more BDNF, or fertilizer, miracle grow of the brain, is created, which allows the synapse to connect and you have better learning. And then there's a part of the brain called the dentate gyrus, and through exercise you have increased blood flow to the gyrus, which is the function to increase memory. That little thing in there, the gyrus, is specific for the brain health to increase memory. And when we're in school, children are in school, that's the most important thing, is for their little brains to be able to attain and retain the information that they get. So let's go on now to a graphic most of us have seen. It's been passed around many social media networks. And this is from Active Living Research and from Aspen Institute and Project Play Again. And the Active Living Research is the graphic off to the right, and it puts in percentages for your general educators and your administrators very clearly what the benefits of exercise are. And then the Government Accountability Office was stated by Aspen Institute that there are intellectual and educational benefits that are associated with physical activity, and they include grades, standardized test scores, cognitive skills, academic behavior, concentration, attention, and even classroom behavior. And it's our job as the physical educator to make sure that both the general ed teachers and the administrators see these graphics and this information and that they pass it on. This one in the middle here of your screen shows, after sitting quietly, the blue is inactivity, green is one step above that. But then after a 20-minute walk, how the brain is highlighted with more activity, and so the brain is more receptive to learning. So we need to make sure that our other educators understand what's going on in the brain as the child is exercising or moving in their classes. Now we need to come up with some solutions. So when we move on to the next slide, these graphics have been presented through the Aspen Institute, and this is a solution of how we can make physical literacy happen. We start out at a young age, and up to age 12, we should be focusing on physical literacy and educating the children on what physical literacy is, how we can incorporate it easily. And then as they get a little older, they have the squaring off of the pyramid is what they call, which then will allow the children to decide whether they want to be recreational or competitive or elite in their activity. And by having the physical literacy at the younger age group, we allow them to gain the ability and the confidence up through those elementary school years. The graphic on the right basically states active kids do better in life. And it shows through early childhood to adulthood all the benefits of a physically active lifestyle. And it shows also that active parents are associated with active kids. So not only are we trying to educate the children, but we're also trying to educate the parents. As we continue on, we're not just the gym teacher anymore. We are part of the solution. We have to be a specialist who is literate in physical activity and why it's beneficial. We have many different jobs now. We have to be able to give resources to the general educator for physical activity during the school day, how to incorporate it into their lessons and any required activity time they have. We can be a specialist for organizing before and after school programs. That doesn't mean we have to do them, but we have to be the specialist that helps to get them started. We can be a personal trainer for our school staff, and of course, professional development, present safe activities and safe practices, especially for recess at the elementary level. We can organize family and community involvement that has appropriate physical activity. Don't be afraid to go to that parent organization of yours and offer to provide an activity that they can use in one of their family events. During our Christmas PTA meeting, we would bring the kids in and they would have breakfast with Santa, and I would set up an obstacle course for them. And it was one of the main reasons some of the kids and the parents came through. It was a great time for the kids and the parents to work together. And then most importantly, we are the teacher of physical literacy. So as we continue on, the first place or what we realize then is we want a comprehensive school physical activity program. Now, there are 5 parts to this which are listed in the essential components of physical education. And of course, it's our physical education program, our physical activity during school, the physical activity before and after school, staff involvement, and family and community engagement. And today in this presentation, we are going to concentrate on these 3. So we're looking at during school, before and after school activities, and family and community engagement. So before we go any further, I want to review what our roles are as the physical education teacher, because we have to set the first standard for all others that are teaching physical literacy or bringing literacy into the classroom. Now, we know the 5 standards that we should do in every lesson every day, but we need to expand that so that anyone in a student's life is a role model and is educating them on why physical activity is important. Now that brings me to the next slide, which means we have to educate the educators. We're going to start with the general educator and the administrators, and we want to then give them information and provide them with resources for activities in the classroom, alternatives in seating, options at recess, and programs before and after school. So today I hope to provide you with many, many resources to pass along to the general educator and the administrators so that you can have a comprehensive school physical activity program at your school. So in these solutions, the first one we're going to go to is activity in the classroom. And the most common question classroom teachers say to us is, how do I put movement into my lesson? But when you go to answer this question, I want you to remember that you have to include why it's important to move. Things like we saw in that fix.com graphic, better memory and attention. And here's just a few of many available resources. We have websites, we have social media, we have apps. They have to be able to develop an awesome professional learning network, and they can use each of these things to do that as themselves, or you can help them to do it as the content specialist. Activity in the classroom can also involve programs, curricular programs, such as Jean Blades Madigan's action-based learning. And the action-based learning program has developed a kinesthetic teaching strategies, and they teach specific academic concepts which are teacher-friendly and time-efficient, and it's a fun way that has proven results. Now, this program is based on Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, or what we know as differentiated instruction. Now, there are 8 different sections to this. And the first one is, that I'm going to go over, is Picture Smart. And we use that in our classrooms, and every teacher uses that through the visuals, and it also involves spatial awareness. There's also Word Smart. Now, again, we use this when we ask children to fill out an exit slip or tell us what went well in a lesson. And there's Logic Smart, and this is in physical education. Anytime we measure something, anytime we determine the amount of force that goes into it. Body Smart is definitely our area. That's that kinesthetic and bodily awareness using fine and gross motor skills. Then we have Music Smarts, and this comes into our dance and rhythmic activities. And then they have People Smarts, which we deal with when we have cooperative games and activities. And then Self Smarts, and that's knowing one's own self. So if you have a child who knows they need to be challenged more, hopefully they'll come to you and ask for that. Or if you have a child that needs remediation, or you see that they need to change what they're doing, we want them to be able to do a self-evaluation, and that's that Self Smarts. We even have Nature Smart, especially those of us that go outside or don't have a classroom. You know, if we're doing soccer, we have to know if the grass is wet, if the grass is tall or short. If we're doing running courses, we have to be able to determine if there's things in the way where we want to put our feet. So in physical education, we deal with all 8 of these differentiated instructions from the theory of multiple intelligences. But most importantly, when we go into the classroom, that means that the math teacher, instead of talking about positive and negative numbers, they could set out a number line and have their students either walk up or down the number line or jump that number line. You know, the history teacher could have a timeline of historical events, but instead of just having a student read them from the book, they could actually assign groups to reenact certain events so that it's more of a drama where the children are getting up and moving so that they have better memory, that sensory memory involved. And we've all heard about those best teachers that entertain their students. Well, I think we need to turn the tables on the students and let the students entertain or demonstrate their knowledge to us. So as we move on, we have more solutions for the classroom. And I like the term brain boost instead of brain breaks. And brain boost is taking hold now, and I hope it continues to trend. And we need to think back to that active living research graphic with the brain at rest and the brain with movement. And I don't think the brain is really taking a break while we're moving. I think it's actually getting a boost. It's able to learn better. And here are a few sites that you might be using for Brain Boost with your general educators. Now, PE Central, you say, that's for us, but it has a site, it has a page that is dedicated to instant activities that work in the classroom. And many of the activities can be read through and modified for classroom use as well. Also, I found through looking just online to many different places that school districts are starting to supply their teachers with activities for the classroom. Here's a few examples. The Salt Lake City School District gives a list of instant activities and energizers for the classroom. The Colorado Education Initiative actually has a teacher toolbox with activities in it. And Pennsylvania's Pottsgrove School District has published a paper on their district site about how to keep kids engaged in the classroom. We also have these brain boosts that are very short video breaks. And the first one that I'm going to show you is Teach, Train, Love. Now, this is from a Virginia Teacher of the Year from last year. And Bevan is a blogger, and she has video clips, 20+ video clips on her website. And she says, let's utilize the technology we have to give our students a healthy dose of what she calls pop culture and silliness all mixed into one. And these short clips you can put up on your smart board or your Promethean board and get involved with students and you moving and grooving. So check that one out. Minds in Bloom is another site, and it's created by Rachel Lynette, and she is a teacher, and this is a teacher sharing with teachers sites, and she also has short videos for brain boosts. Hop Sports I came across, and it is free with registration. The interesting thing about this is that it has a library of videos to use specifically in the classroom, but then it will allow you to create playlists, and you can even customize your videos. So as we move on to some other traditional video resources, we have things like GoNoodle.com. Many of the teachers at my school asked me about this last year and registered, and it is free with registration. And it has ways to move for quite a few different subject content areas. Kids.usa.gov has short videos that include everything from exercise to nutrition, and they're all kid-oriented, primarily for the elementary and some middle school attendance. The JAM School program started several years ago through the JAM in Minutes. Those are easy to print out and include in a staff bulletin so that the teachers can share that throughout the week with their students. That's what I did in the beginning. And then they've included now fitness videos. The JAM Blast usually has a celebrity of some sort that goes over either their nutrition or why exercise is important to them and a short routine that they have. And then, of course, the JAM School Programs produces their own monthly newsletter, and you can use that as well to send home in your school's newsletter. The next resources, of course, are YouTube and TeacherTube. These we all know about, and I would like to remind you that with using both of these, you have to make sure the content is appropriate for your audience. Many dances are on there. You could see that this is the JAM World Record from 2012 on YouTube. But on YouTube, they also have channels. Now, I found a Hap Palmer channel. With me being in teaching for over 30 years, Hap Palmer was there when I first started 30 years ago, and now he's put this out on YouTube, and he has a variety of videos set to his music in all content areas as well. TeacherTube, our school district wouldn't allow YouTube for the longest time, but we could get into TeacherTube. And again, you have everything from like the Gummy Bear songs to the McFrog Family Break, and then a math teacher who came up with math raps and how to rap to the number line. Then we go to some other resources. If we go to the American Heart Association, you'll find an incredible library of jump rope skills in their resources. They also have videos and teacher worksheets that can be used in the classroom or even in your gym. The other thing that they have that is associated with the American Heart Association is the NFL's Play 60 Challenge. Now, this is the link to the teacher training video, and it's based primarily for middle school, but it can be used in the elementary school as well. And it instructs teachers on how to use the Play 60 Challenge both in school and for at home. Music CDs are one of my favorites. Back when I first started, we had records and I used a record player. But you can find most of the music and instructional CDs at Kimbo's Educational, which is a music resource for, especially for children and younger children. And it allows the teacher to put on the CD and participate right along with the students as they monitor and observe the students to see if they are actually performing the activities correctly. You know, the best thing is that those CDs have instructions right along with it. Many of them also have the music without the instructions, so you can create your own activities to go along with that music. Then we go to books and publications. With the books and publications, we have both hardcover and electronic. The Physical Education Digital Library and Open, which is the online physical education network, are electronic resources that can provide activities and meaningful movement. Books such as Thinking on Your Feet, No Gym, No Problem, and Enhancing Children's Cognition with Physical Activity Games, of course, are regular books that provide activities that we as physical educators may have used in our gym, but they can also be used in a classroom setting. And I know that No Gym, No Problem is based on our national standards, so then you are giving those general educators the why and the benefits as to why they should have their children up and moving. Spark and the Kinesthetic Classroom have a lot of research on the benefits of activity and exercise, and then how to create an environment which is conducive to movement. And then, of course, there's Twitter, which is a great online professional network. You can find Dale Sidebottom's site, which has a lot of activities with instructions and equipment, and it basically is games that you could just pull out and use. I found this on Jay Carter's site of children creating a hula hut, and that's what we know it as, and most of us will use that as a target or even an obstacle. But to a science teacher, they might use it to talk about orbits, but to have the students constructed, they're getting the students up out of their seats and moving to do that. If, let's say we have a STEM program and we're doing the engineering part, now we have construction and stability. And then Focus Fitness is a great one for their Fab 5 videos. As we move through our solutions, we go to alternatives in seating. And we as the physical literacy specialists can provide resources for alternative seating options. I went into
Judy, I'm sorry. Before we get to this, can I make a comment real quick? You have a lot of really great resources that are fabulous, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, and I try to tell this to my teachers on my campus, but especially the Go Noodle site, is that you can actually take some of those YouTube channels and you can take that direct link, and within the YouTube section on Go Noodle, you can actually take some of those videos that your kids like that are just off of YouTube and actually put them in within Go Noodle. So like I guess in it you're supposed to, like, you get credit and build characters and stuff, and so you can actually take those videos and put them in there. So when they do those videos, it's actually building credit towards that Go Noodle.
That's great. I didn't know that. And my classroom teachers and I don't have a lot of time to collaborate. So what they have found out, I don't always, have the ability to share that with others. So, anything else like that someone wants to bring out and, with these resources, let others know how to use them, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and and I think what's important too is what you're saying is that we're making ourselves available to these teachers to help share and give them some ideas of what they can do in their classroom. And I think it's important that we're flexible enough to help them out, and giving them some ideas of what they can do to incorporate in like our um,
we need to be the ones that are the content specialists.
yes,
Even though we're the physical literacy specialists, we have to have the knowledge to be able to provide these resources so that those teachers can bring them into their classroom,
yeah,
or even explain to them that an activity in, let's say, Charmaine Sutherland's book, No Gym, No Problem, says it's supposed to take 15 minutes. They can just do a portion of it, and as long as they're getting just a few minutes, such as in a brain boost or a brain break, they are getting their students up and moving for a meaningful reason.
yeah, yeah, and I agree, and that was a lot of really great information that I didn't even realize was out there. So we do also have another question about the graphic from Fix.com. Do you happen
Okay.
to know the name of that graphic?
I think it's called Your Brain on Exercise, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
Let me see if I can go through my paperwork here and find that real quick. Um, but if anyone who is on the Tozzle page, I think the whole presentation has been put there,
Oh,
and
cool.
all of these resources, because I want the physical educators to be able to give this to their teachers, I've included active links on that site. So if they can't click and get directly to the site, then they can just copy it and paste it into their browser window. Most of the links, I believe, are pink, and the slide for Fix.com, it's in the blue margin at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Um, and I do believe it's called Your Brain on Exercise.
Excellent. And I did scroll down and I did see that there should be one that says physical literacy slides. So if you are watching on the Tozzle, you can go down there and should be able to click and see her slideshow. So awesome.
Right, and any of these resources that I've found or people have told me about, I try to find the link that takes you directly to that website so that it's easier for you to use. You know, after teaching in the field for as long as I have, to have something right at your fingertips and not have to go searching for it is very important, not just to us as a physical educator, but to the classroom teacher as well. I mean, I know in my district they're starting a new curriculum, but you have to weed through all these choices, and our time is very valuable. So use the links that are there, and hopefully they'll work for you all. How about, do we have time to continue on? Is that correct, Ben?
Yes, yes. I was just going to say, go ahead and
Okay.
with this alternative seating. I'm seeing some cool things I like already on there.
Well, these are pictures from the school I taught in, and a traditional classroom is on the left, and teachers just look at it as their desks and chairs and not necessarily the blank space. It's kind of like an artist with the positive and negative space. And when we get into the next couple of slides, you'll see that we're using that space around the desks and chairs. But if we get our administrators especially to invest some money into alternative seating. Now, I went on gophersport.com and found these 3 variations, all of which provide physical activity while students are in the classroom. The one thing that they have to keep in mind, though, is the safety involved, and you don't want to have a child bouncing continuously on a stability ball and disrupting class while that happens. So just like anything we do in the gym, the teacher will have to set out the rules and the protocols that are necessary to have this alternative seating. The best thing about it is we're now using those muscles that we sit on, especially the hamstrings and the gluteal muscles. And if we go back to both John Medina and Spark by John Ratty, we're now creating BDNF, which is that miracle grow to the brain, and it results in better cognition, better learning, better academics all the way around. So on the next slide, we have, let's say we don't have the money to purchase that alternative seating. We're going to use that space either in our seats, and here's some flexibility activities my students did: gluteal stretch and seated windmills. And then we did some strength activities using both the chair and the desk. We lifted ourselves right off the chair. We did chair dips. We kicked as if we were swimming when we were seated. We used the desk as a plank. And for some students, you know, they can't even do a plank on the floor. So at this incline position, it makes it a little bit easier for them to do. And of course, you can always push that chair in and use the space behind your desk for movement. And here are some flexibility movements. We have a crossbody tricep stretch and just some twisters there. And then the aerobic activities, you can turn on the music. And I've found out that over the years, classroom teachers more and more are including music into their classrooms, whether it be for, let's say, concentration with a classical piece to, again, doing a brain boost with free dance. Doing vertical jumps or skier jumps, they could use that space, or even running in place. And these were all done at the school that I taught in the past. Next, we go on to options at recess. And the first one I have for you is called Play On. And in fact, this was a webinar that Shape put on about 2 weeks ago. Play On is by the company PlayCore, and it is a curricular program for recess, basically. And the program itself will come out to your school, or will meet with a representative, which will then take the information back to your school. And it provides resources and training for your staff. Another program is called Playworks, and this is an online resource, and it has an unbelievable amount of games, recess games. Excellent variety, great explanations. The library I looked at, I think, had 30-some activities that kids could use. Hopefully you're not in that school district that tried to ban playing tag. But again, I think when something like that comes about, we as physical educators need to be that content specialist and provide maybe a professional development for those teachers that do recess duty. And how do we tag safely? Do we supply them with something foam? I remember going to one of the national conventions, and they had a foam hand that they used to tag with to make it much more safer for the students. Then we have Stride Track, and I came across this just on a search and read through it quite extensively. And it's a technological equipment for a running club, and they claim to be the first program to use barcodes. They use the barcodes to track performance, and they will assist your school with the implementation of the program. They've tiered their costs to your school size, and they will help you with fundraising. I wish I had a program like this when I did my recess walk and run program, but when I did that program, I used a simple spreadsheet for each class, and they colored in a square for each 1/10 of a mile. I was working with our PTA and a local landscaper to create a 1/10 of a mile circle for the kids, and they would record each 1/10 of a mile, and when they got to 1 mile, we gave them a toe token from Fitness Finders. And by the way, if you haven't been to Fitness Finders, they have awesome resources for material rewards for students, and the running program, a reading program, all kinds of best attendance programs. So check out fitnessfinders.net for that as well. Then I came across this excellent document. It's by Colleen Evans, Dr. Colleen Evans, and it's called How to Make, Help, Create an Active Recess. And this was used in a 2010 workshop, and this paper covers everything to setting up play zones and rules to different activities and equipment. And I think every administrator should have their teachers read through this before school starts every year. It is an awesome, awesome document. Now we head off to those before and after school programs. And it doesn't mean that you have to run those programs, because if we did, we'd sleep at school. But we can assist, we can be the specialist and assist teachers that have strengths in different areas. But the first thing I would do would be to check the local programs, such as your high schools, a community sports program. How do kids sign up for those teams, whether it be baseball or soccer or football or cheerleading? Any local running clubs, and they'll be able to tell you any of the larger running events, whether it be a 3K, a 5K, or longer running races that are in the area. You have martial arts classes. I know in my area that the martial arts classes are actually now running a transportation service to pick kids up at school, and they do the kids' homework with them. Well, they don't do the homework for them, but they have homework as the first part of their program. And then, of course, your local fitness centers. And the local fitness center for my school actually sent out people to help the parents and the kids understand what was available there. And once you enlist the assistance from these professionals, you might find that you have mentors that will help you develop a program and provide ideas for participation in those area events. And once you've explored your local resources, then you might want to add physical activity kits, such as Let's Move, an Active Schools media kit, and the Sparks Classroom Recess and After School kits. Then there's before and after school. We talk about that a lot, but many of us have lots of buses, but we also have communities where kids walk to and from school. In Fire Up Your Feet, this is a program that is supported by the National PTA, and as you read through their mission statement, From Safe Routes to Schools, you know, they advocate safe walking or bicycling to and from school. And what I found very interesting is both Active Living Research and the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation, they report that children who walk or bike to school are on average 16% more active overall than other children. And then, of course, we have tried and true running programs. Girls on the Run is a great physical activity program that involves lessons on self-esteem and body image as well. And Just Run is a program that will help you set up a running program at your school, and its online resources provide you with the step-by-step directions in order to attain that running program. As we move on to ideas for family and community involvement, one of the first places you can look is Shape America. Their partnerships. They have tools for individuals and families. When you go and look through the President's Challenge and the Presidential Youth Fitness Program, you'll find out that there are many different instructions as to what a program should look like, how you can stay active, and not just for students, but how to get the family involved in well. Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart are events that most of us have gotten involved with. These are activities that bring an awareness to families and communities, and some schools make it a huge event to bring in the community and families on special event nights to celebrate their Jump Rope for Heart or Hoop for Heart physical activity days or weeks. Then I was able to find this. How do we exercise at home? Well, some of us say we're too busy to do this. Well, at this site, it's called nanoworkouts.com, they have incredible ways to infuse exercise into everyday life. Just the pictures alone, I think, are fantastic. And it gives the parents an opportunity and ideas to show that they are the role models at finding time to exercise. And when they do that, then their children might follow right along with them. Another way that I have found that gets the house and the home involved is to have a flipped classroom. Now, a flipped classroom, we want to know, is that the students are viewing a pre-instructional video. Now, this is on YouTube, and I have to thank a good friend of mine, Greg Baines. and he's at Dayton Oaks Elementary School, and he developed these skills videos. They're available on the Dayton Oaks Elementary School YouTube channel. And before he has a class, he asks the students to view these skills videos so that they're ready to do a quick review and start practicing so that he can then spend more time on actual skill development. Another thing is that we can bring physical education home. In the Physical Education Digital Library and the Physical Best Activity Guide. Now, the Physical Educational Digital Library is an electronic publication, where the Physical Best Activity Guide is a hardcover book. Both provide examples through activity logs and pictures of exercises and information that can be done by all your family members. So instead of just getting the student involved, we're getting everybody in the family involved with the physical activity. And as I close tonight, I want you to definitely be a promoter of lifetime physical literacy, which means you have to be the specialist. You acquire the knowledge that you want to pass on to everyone else. By that, you're going to be a content expert. You're going to answer the how and why questions. How is exercise beneficial? Why is exercise important? You're going to be a builder of programs. This is how we now are not just teaching physical education, but we have that comprehensive school physical activity program. So we're taking it beyond the gym, and we're bringing it to recess, before and after school, and out into the community. But most of all, you're the physical educator, and you have to be all those things that I've listed above. Now, I hope that I've given you many tools and resources to implement in a comprehensive school physical activity program, and that you will be able to share this knowledge to build in your school's program, and make sure that everybody understands the benefits of having an active lifestyle. I'd like to thank the Physigogy team again for helping us with this ESPE chat summit, and I hope that I've been able to provide you with many resources to take back to your school. Thank you very much.
Oh, excellent stuff. So, Judy, as you were kind of winding down, and if you want to go ahead and take your screen off screen share so we can see you again, that was a great wealth of information that you just supplied with us, and very excited to get through.
Am I still sharing my screen, Ben?
Yes.
Okay, so
go over to the. There should be somewhere on there where you can click where you can end the screen share.
Okay, I am screen sharing. I don't want to screen share. It says live. We don't want to do the toolbox, right? So
right, no, just it's okay if not. I'll just keep it. I'll click it on me. Okay, so there was some. I really enjoyed it. I really liked that you got all the resources in one location for us, and I think if we can get ourselves on a similar page as educators, it'll be really great. And getting the community involved is a great tool to have, and you know, we're slowly getting there. And some schools, sometimes some schools have some problems getting the parents to do some stuff with their kids. Like at my school, what we started doing this year, real quick before we hop off, is I have some videos on YouTube that I have the parents do at home with their kids as a family, and then I use a Google form and have them print it out as a certificate. Mm-hmm. And then they can print that out, bring it back home, and then we post it on the wall in the gym. No, outside the gym. And so it's really neat seeing some of those come in and everything like that, and seeing that there's other people doing the similar things. It's really great. I know Kevin Tiller on his phys ed review. Yeah, .weebly.com. He has on there a backpack type thing that has a bunch of papers that you could put in it that you could send home with parents. It's another great resource if you're looking for something. And I know he has a whole app section too that some people use to send home information to parents on apps. So check those out for sure as well if you're looking to do more with your parents and involvement and stuff like that. So. I just thought I'd
Well,
throw those resources out too to help
excellent,
anybody else.
Ben. Thank you. Yeah, because we can all learn from each other, and that's I have to thank my buddy Rich Wiles because he keeps pushing me to create these PLNs and those professional learning networks. I'm learning about. I'm becoming more and more proficient with Twitter and the chats through that, but people also can use Voxer, and I listen more than I post on Voxer, but we shouldn't just keep some of our information to ourselves. What we need to do is make sure that those classroom teachers know that they can go to those places as well to find resources and then come back to you or I or their physical educator and say, hey, I saw this. How do you use it? Can I incorporate it in my classroom?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. Taking this information, taking that PowerPoint and sharing it with those classroom teachers, especially the section that you have put together with all the tools that they can use inside their classroom, whether it's the Brain Boost section or the kinesthetic classroom stuff with the bikes and stuff like that. I think all that is would be great to share with the classroom teachers.
Right,
So,
and if anybody has seen Jean Blades Madigan speak, she talks that just a few seconds of standing up and stretching allows the child to have a better retention rate. And so if we can, and this has been, I guess, a dream of mine or a pet peeve, depending upon how you look at it, is we get asked to teach math and writing and whatnot, and we have administrators who observe us doing those things but are not themselves educated in physical education. Now we have to take the physical education and say, let's put this in your classroom. Here is the information on it. Here's how we're going to educate you. So turnaround, I guess, is fair play. So let's
yeah.
hope it catches on and keeps going.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Judy for presenting this awesome topic and once again all this great information. And the ESPE chat thanks you guys for tuning in to the Phys Ed Summit. I know it's some of us is later than others, so I hope that the rest of you have a fantastic evening, and hopefully we will be able to do this again in the future. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.